Well, we're live now. Hello, everybody.
Cheers. What's up?
Um, Thanks for coming back again for some of you. I've got Eric from Thomas Metal on tonight. Eric, say hello and tell everybody whatever you want them to know about you.
Say hello and whatever you want. All right, I said that. So thanks to Captain Bampton for having me on the program. Again, you guys can find me over at the Thomas Metal 75 channel of YouTube. We do beer reviews, whiskey reviews, and the Wild Card Wednesday. Any beer, wine, or spirit on that program. And I drum in a band called Oxblood Force. Be like 80s heavy metal and Black Sabbath, doomy stoner rock. Yeah.
Cool. So we'll put the links. I know I've your channel link and all in the description, but we'll put them all in at the end. Um, so we'll just say hello to a few people then. Daniel, I think Daniel cheats. Daniel puts a comment in at the start and then fucks off. But hello, Daniel, just in case you're still watching. Hello, Ali. Don't know who that guy is. We'll ignore him. Hello,
Hello.
Dave. And I still think Dave's got the best avatar on YouTube. I love that flaming guitar avatar.
Hell yeah.
Hello, Andy. Let's see. Kane's here. Hello, Kane. Joey. Hello, Joey. Joey, you not still live? Joey is still live.
Watching us on the side during your live stream. Thank you for watching.
No, he's ended it. He's ended it. Yeah, Joey, you should have stayed live. Sorry. Thrice is here. Hello, Thrice.
Hello.
Let's see, Mick T. Hello, Mick T. Again, I think we've got everybody. The man, the myth, the legend, JV's here.
JV, what's up?
Last one. That's a new name to me. I'm not sure that is. That could be one of your subscribers.
No idea.
Jimmy C's here.
Connecticut.
And that's this. We're all caught up. So if you haven't watched much of this, so the routine is I ask stupid, pointless questions, and you be as long-winded or as short-winded as you want. You can be as honest as you want. You can be dishonest as you want, because let's face it, who gives a fuck? It's just for a bit of crack. So some of them are YouTube based, because we all know each other through YouTube. Some of them there's standard ones that I ask everybody, and there's a few that I just rotate in and out, and there's a few ones specific to yourself because of your Omegle song and stuff. So although that was the only thing I was in the build up to this. Don't let him do the Omegle song. Okay.
R.I.P. Omegle.
Yeah. So the first question then we always start with, what's your favorite YouTube channel?
Oh Jesus. Favorite YouTube channel.
And I would say the best thing to do is avoid your friends, so you don't feel like you have to say Joey's or JV's or Drunken One, or you know what I mean.
Right. So, I even gotta get the name out here for you. So it's called. I will write. I guess I gotta write this in the. I guess I'll put this in the chat really quickly, and you can prop it up. This is a gentleman. I guess he's from the UK. MRNIGELNG. That is Nigel NG. He does a persona on YouTube. His name is Uncle Roger, and he's of Asian descent. And
he's a chef.
Yeah, he reviews everybody's, and Jamie Oliver, and makes fun of them for all their getting egg fried rice wrong, getting ramen noodle wrong. He's a hilarious comedian. Just go check out that guy's channel. He does a lot of stand-up comedy. So a YouTube channel that's not whiskey beer related, from friends of mine, that's a hilarious channel. Go check it out.
Good.
That's the channel.
So is it because he does cooking stuff, or because he's funny?
Because he's goddamn hilarious, and he doesn't really generally have a filter or really any censorship for the most part.
Okay.
And when he says something that's offensive, he'll go, "Sorry, children."
See, I think that's something that there's more and more pushback on people, people for years have been afraid to bite their, are afraid to say what they think, and they're biting their lip. Even in comedy, and comedians should be able to just come out, and tell jokes. And if you don't like it, don't laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that's. But I've seen that guy. He was on trigonometry, amongst other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy. But
if you're
I've
going to
thought,
go and see George Carlin in the 1990s and you already have a preconceived notion that you may be offended, then why did you go to that particular comedian's show, right?
absolutely. There's a British comedian. I'm struggling to remember his name. He's very camp, very crude at times, but he came to Belfast, believe it or not, last year, and somebody bought a ticket, turned up to the show, then reported him during the show for a joke that they found offensive. So the Northern Ireland Police Service had to go and speak to him at the end of it. Now, they just went, like, it's nonsense. We're not going to do this, But the but it's like you say that somebody's went out of their way to be this offended. It's like, shut the fuck up, you bell end, and go home.
Yeah.
It's
called comedy for a reasoning, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Can't please everybody all the time, right?
Yeah, so I just for everybody in the chat, if you've got a question for Eric, put it in the chat. He promised he won't read it in advance, and then I'll mark them and we'll ask him at the end. So
I read one stupid question from Square Table Degenerates there. So
I always mark Joey's stupid questions and ask him at the end.
How do I get some Quaaludes? I said no idea.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll unmark that one then. So
all right, next.
Yeah, so you can't watch this child. You're gonna yell. Yep. Okay, not yelled at. Just hello, Uncle Norway. So right. So the next one then. So what got you into music in the first place? So I asked thrice this. So as a fan, and then ultimately as a musician, I suppose I'm thinking.
Oh man, that's a really epically good question. I mean, I suppose, like probably with anybody else, movies, media in general, kind of always rings a bell. And you watching movies and having a soundtrack or being able to memorize and hum a tune or a melody to a soundtrack like a Back to the Future or even like a Jurassic Park or something, that was one of the first kind of loves to me with music. It's my favorite movies, and when I hear those soundtracks, that always got me excited for the movie and listening to the music. So that's one thing, I suppose. Another thing would be my father was a giant music fan of all kind of classic rock and blues, and I remember distinctively listening to Fleetwood Mac and Bon Jovi and the Eric Clapton unplugged stuff. So that really is kind of what got me into the music that I like. And then I guess in 5th grade here where I live in my town in the United States, so I actually, before I moved to the town that I live in, for about a week I was doing trumpet lessons. And that was just a small amount of time for a week. I don't know anything about that instrument, so don't ask me. But when I got to my town, it was another grade level from 4th to 5th grade where I could actually go and join in the band, in the wind ensemble, as you would call it. So in 5th grade, they got everybody together in our I guess it was the gymnasium, to do a little overview on the now you're in 5th grade. Here's all the various instruments you can play in the band. And they got all the way down to drums. And I don't know why, no pun intended, with this kind of resonated with me. But this kind of resonated with me where I forget who was doing the introductions. But when they got to drums, they said, this is probably the instrument your parents don't want you to play. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Because every other instrument had some, I mean, the drums do to a certain extent, but every other instrument had some way to kind of mute it in a certain regard, so you can kind of lower the pitch and volume. The drums kind of has something like that, but really it's a loud, abrasive, obnoxious instrument, percussion in general. And that's one of the, except for, again, all the instruments in band, your trumpets, your clarinets, your saxophones, your tuba, whatever it is, except for things that you plug in like an electric instrument. If you're going to be in a band, let's say, the drummer doesn't have, unless it's an electronic drum set, the drummer doesn't have a volume knob, so there's no way to regulate you. You have to
Yeah.
regulate yourself. But that's a long-winded way of getting into those three things, getting into music, and then I kind of just stuck with it. Everybody else in the band, you see 20 snare drummers in the band, and I'm one of the few that was left standing. I'm like, I want to learn this thing, and so that's been a journey. That's
See, I don't think of you as a drummer because I know because anytime I see you've got a guitar in your hand.
yes, sir.
So
I
when
learned. When did I learn? How did I learn guitar? I guess if my brother was out of the house or he was at his own lessons for guitar and he had another guitar lying around, I guess I would just fiddle around with it. And then my thought with that was because I started drums. I don't know when I started playing guitar, but drums I started in 1999. So most of my life has been drumming, and guitar was kind of a thing where I said to myself, I guess I'm well, not I guess. I'm curious about this other side of music that's got all the notes and the chords and the actual melodies as opposed to just the drums. I got interested in that and just kind of stuck with it there. I like playing both. I don't have really a preference, but yeah, I guess
really that's
what I
unusual.
listened to that got me interested in music. It got me into drums the same way it got me into guitar too.
So most people prefer fall into one, and I know you get some people. I don't want to turn this to a fucking JV love fest again, but JV's one of those guys could pick up a fucking yellow pocket and make it musical. Some
Yeah,
people are just like that. I mean, but for a lot of people, it's I'm going to play piano, or I'm going to play drums, or I'm going to play bass guitar. We'll play
yeah,
violin,
yeah,
whatever. It's unusual the jump from the two. So, but the drums, my first thought when you were learning the drums, you said about it'll annoy your parents because you see loads of people that buy them for their friends' sons just because it'll annoy their friends and their friend's wife.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
People want to be the cool uncle and take the noisy nuisance instrument, but drums is. I didn't realize how technical drums was till I watched that film Whiplash. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't actually seen that movie somehow. I haven't seen that yet.
I,
I
I
I saw that last scene of them playing the song Whiplash.
Yeah, but the actual
We all know
film is
that.
really yeah, but he's literally I didn't realize you could tune the drums to different key and stuff. I
You can, yeah. There's a lot of different percussive percussion, I suppose, instruments where you can do that. There's a lot of them that you can do that with, and you can kind of do it to a certain extent with a drum set with the toms, but and I used to do it in a band where I would tune everything to like a B minor because we're all tuned into B tuning. But I used to think about it that way. But at the end of the day, when you're the active listener, are you? I mean, we'll probably get into more musical things, but I don't want to get into it too in depth. But as just like a music listener, an average to kind of entry level. I don't know much about any of the instruments. That's not what I like and what I don't. You're
yeah,
not really paying attention to the percussion to the point where I hear a distinct melody going on between this tom fill. I mean, it's
yeah,
you can tell that there's tonality differences, and that's what you really want. You're not
yeah.
really hearing. This is an A, and this is a B flat, and this is a G sharp. You're not
I
hearing any of
suppose it depends what you're listening to because I mean that film is based around a jazz band and it's
that.
it's the guy I can never remember his name. I always remember him as Vern
Miles,
Schillinger from Oz.
yeah, Miles
I
something.
oh no, it's not Miles Teller. No, it was the other guy. The guy got the Oscar for it. The
Oh, yeah, yeah,
bald
yeah.
guy. And he's a British actor, I say, but I always remember him playing the.
J.K. Simmons.
That's it. That's it. But
Him. Miles Teller was the drummer in that movie. Yep.
I will. Yeah, Miles Teller drums and Simmons does he runs the thing and he's well thought of and all. But
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
good
Yeah,
film.
played
And
it too. Miles Teller. Yep.
does he?
He really does know how to play the drums. Yep.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, but a lot of people do that. Like you see a lot of musicians, or a lot of actors take up all sorts of stuff. But the difference being they've got the time and the money to do all that shit.
Yeah.
Where we have
The
to go to work
biggest
and then
example of that is probably that Tom Hanks movie from the '90s. That Thing You Do. They had the drummer that was the drummer in that movie. With that band, the Wonders. They actually had another drummer that got hired during the production of that movie to teach him basically how to look like he's pantomiming to the point where he's
Mm,
actually looks
yeah.
convincing in playing the drums. That guy never actually played the drums.
See, there's an Irish film that I've mentioned a couple times called The Commitments. You know,
Yeah,
and everybody in that actually played or sung. You know, Andrew Strong really was that good a singer, and everybody in that film actually played their instruments and were on the albums because they actually still tour. So they do as the
well,
Commitments. You know, so
definitely the best
um,
actor that plays music has got to be and sings has got to be Jack Black, right?
yeah, except I can't stand him.
Oh no.
I think he's a one trick pony. I hated Tenacious D.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, I know. I think he plays the same character in every film. The man's talented as a musician. You
See
know,
where he's coming
he's.
from here.
I actually saw him download 2012,
Oh,
and
okay.
there was a massive crowd, and they went up, and they weren't a headline, but they had a new album out, and instead of playing "Fuck Her Gently" and all the stuff that we knew,
Yeah.
they played all the new stuff. And everybody's just standing. But I was only standing because I was waiting for Steel Panther. They were straight after them,
Yeah, sir.
and he was just rubbish. I actually, you know, weirdly, I thought he'd have been a better frontman for AC/DC than Axel. He's,
Pretty
he's
cool. I never
yeah,
thought of it that way. All
he's
right.
just got he's got that voice. I've seen him and I've heard him doing AC/DC stuff, you know, and he's brilliant at it.
That gravelly voice at the higher pitches.
Yeah, you know. So,
That's cool.
um, but that being said, I just he is very very good. But then again, there's others. Trying to think. Johnny Depp's a really good slide guitarist.
The most recent version that people probably know of that's been touring recently with his band is Keanu Reeves on bass.
Yeah,
A band called
yeah.
Dogstar, I believe.
Dogstar, yeah, yeah.
I think
I
they're more like
haven't seen
kind
them
of
or
a
heard them, but
rock, kind of a
um,
punk feel.
yeah, actually, I like. I mean, Johnny Depp played on some of the Oasis stuff. I think he played slide guitar on Slide Away on Definitely
Yeah,
Baby.
he does a lot of stuff with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry of all things from Aerosmith in this project out of LA called the Hollywood Vampires.
Yes, I've heard that though. Blake. Sorry, I'm just trying to say hello as well.
Hello,
So,
Blake TV.
um, okay. So, question 3 then.
Yeah, next one, you sure?
What's been the best experience of your life?
Of my life. Wow. Oh, whoa. Well, I just became an uncle, so that's a pretty cool experience. Well, best experience of my life. I am the ripe old age of 36 this year. I'm 35. I've experienced a bunch of stuff in my life, but I'll put it this way: one of the best things in my life, I gotta say, is music related. And twice in my life, I've been to with my high school here in Massachusetts, United States of America. I've been to my freshman year and my senior year. Been to a thing that they call the World Championships of Percussion. Literally, as a percussion ensemble unit, you
Okay.
got to compete against every other school or ensemble in your respective, what do they call it? Class, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That I've ne- I've tried sports when I was very, very, very young. I'm not a really sports savvy kind of a person. That's the only kind of a time that I've really felt like I'm a part of a team, just like being in your own band and playing heavy metal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like being in that kind of a group and ensemble, you got to know where you are at all times. You got to get on the floor. You got to get off on the floor in record time because time is money. Every time you waste getting off the floor, they deduct you points. You got to be able to work as a unit in an ensemble. And it really taught me a lot about not necessarily just how to interact with people in a musical setting, but it certainly taught me a lot of life lessons about how to just like work together with people to get, pardon my French, to get shit done. And this is one of the places and just music in general is one of those places I learned this little phrase that's called, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late.
Okay.
This is, if you're on time, if you got to be here at 7:05, like you and I can't get here at 7:05, and you can't get here at 7:05 and expect
Yeah.
to have everything set up ready to go.
Yeah.
You got to be there early, set up ready to go, so you can do your thing at the designated time of 7:05. Don't get there at 7:05.
Yeah.
Get there at a little earlier. Get your stuff together. I just really learned about teamwork, what it's like to get to work as a common goal, get stuff done, and when you get critiqued negatively, use that critique and just better yourself. I've learned it that way. So that's kind of been one of the most fruitful experiences in my life, definitely.
Right.
Long, short.
No, that's fair enough. But I mean, you are still only young, so But I mean, I suppose because you're a big music guy, so anything really positive music is always going to resonate there, you know. So, um, no, fair play, fair play. Okay, so, um, question 4: if you could kill one person without any consequences, who would it be?
Just one. Taylor Swift is on that list, definitely. I want to watch the American NFL. I don't want to watch Taylor Swift. Oh,
Okay.
one person one.
Now, in fairness, I normally throw out Lizzo there, and I'd love to throw Lizzo out of a plane, but I don't want to start a tsunami, so fuck her. Um,
The one person. The next person that gets accused of sexual offenses against kids. That's the next person I would like to kill without any consequence.
yeah, yeah,
But one person in particular, like
yeah.
oh Jesus, who's just like a who's a bad person that we could just all deal without in this world? Like holy crap, yeah.
It could be somebody personal to you. You know what I mean? It could be
Oh,
somebody that's wronged you in your
I
life.
can't
It could
get
be
it. No,
somebody that wouldn't let you join their band. It could be somebody that's pissed you off on YouTube. It could be it could be somebody famous or infamous or
one person I'd like to kill without any
In
consequences.
fairness, Dorito wouldn't answer it. Dorito, everybody else that I asked it to, picked somebody right away. Dorito didn't want to answer it.
All right, well, if I gotta kill one person without any consequences, let me just go with that first answer. Taylor Swift, why not?
She's hot.
That's an awful answer. I don't have a better answer than that. If I come up with one during the course of this show, we'll come back to question 4. Maybe it'll come to me randomly.
Yeah, okay, we'll go back that. But I think, look, I want to bring back pretty pop stars. So she is annoying and she's overrated, she's overhyped, she's everything about that. But at least she's good to look at, So
Yep.
I say this a lot. If I want to see fat and ugly, I look in the mirror. I want when I put on the MTV or whatever the fucking version of it is these days, I want to see somebody pretty dancing about the fucking stage. So
Yeah, I get you.
um, so it's. I mean, don't get me wrong, you want talent as well, but I mean, all those years a long time when I was younger, I used to watch all the pretty, I'd have my own music playing in the background and just flick through the music channels to watch, all Britney's videos and shit like that there, but I'd have the sound muted and just, I'd have Metallica or something playing in the background, so.
Like one over the other is kind of difficult because there's all these people. The United States, I'll be the first to admit that we seem to have our own. I'm not trying to get political here, but we seem to have our own specialized problem when it comes to dumbasses that think that they should be able to cause harm to other people with gun violence. So like anybody that does that are the people that I would like to just kill without any consequence.
No, that's still a cop out. That's a group of people,
I know, I know, I know.
Okay, well, sure, we'll move. We'll
If I
move.
got an idea, we'll come back to it.
Yep, absolutely. We can revisit that one. So
Taylor
question
Swift for
5
now,
then.
everybody.
What is the most overrated band of all time?
Nirvana.
Oh, that was a quick answer. Right?
Nirvana. So
Why?
I think Chuck D from what's he in Public Enemy. there was so preface there on this one. There was not MTV, VH1, I suppose. Yeah, they did a
Yeah,
top 100 greatest hard rock artists of all time. They must have been in like the top. They were in the top 10 somewhere. They might have been in like the top 4 or 5. And then you got Chuck D coming in there going, they're the most influential band of all time. It's like nobody's ever properly told me what the hell they influenced, other than this was the 80s that had hair metal, and then this was Nirvana.
yeah.
That kind of brought hair metal down, that brought hair metal down from its popularity to possibly, I suppose, if I had to think about it, bringing in a new kind of a sound. And that's the only thing that I can possibly understand, where Nirvana is like the most revolutionary band of all time. I don't understand why they're so
No,
what they're considered so revolutionary, and what they did on their instruments and what they did in their music to be considered revolutionary. I don't know.
hello, Mark. There's another new name. Sorry, welcome to the channel, Mark. I don't.
Buddy from my hometown, Mark Lazowski.
Good man. See, I'm not sure I could pin it down to one band. There's certain bands I don't get, but I always when we have our music discussions, so in JVs, I always say there's a difference between the likes of you that are musicians and the likes of me who's a fan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So usual talk about a certain band, and you're thinking about how hard the changes are. And I mean, I know about all that shit. You know, I'm not stupid, but to me, you're worried about the musicianship, how hard something is to play, all the rest of it. Where I'm thinking, you know, to a degree, you know,
Yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
thinking, does it sound good? Does it make me tap my toe? Does it make me want to headbang? Does it make me want to, you know? So for me, Rush, because all the musos love Rush, because musically they're very good, but then your man starts singing, and I'm like, I'd rather somebody pulled all my nails off,
Oh my
you
God,
know.
that's funny. That's my favorite band. Of course, I'm a drummer, right? If it's not Rush, it's definitely Metallica.
Well, yeah, Neil Peart's a great
Rush,
drummer,
Metallica, Alice in Chains.
you know. But I get you about the Nirvana thing because I like them, but don't love them,
What do
you
they
know.
do? I don't understand I don't understand how they get the whole notoriety of they change the face of the music industry. That I
No,
don't understand
no,
at all.
me either. I just, and I'm not a big fan of the grunge scene. I'm not a big Pearl Jam fan. I actually love Eddie Vedder's voice. Weirdly, I've heard him doing other stuff, and I love his voice. But don't like Pearl Jam's music. I hated Soundgarden. I hated them with a passion. Still the most of a personal experience. Still the
Yeah,
most disappointed band I've ever seen live. You know,
never saw them,
and I'm like, they were just dull and boring and pretentious. The music was poor, I thought, and it didn't even talk to the crowd. And
yeah.
they
Really?
walked off. They started some feedback loop and walked off one at a time. You're going, really, you boring cunts. You
Alice in Chains for me, and I suppose you could say the Melvins, I suppose, right? But definitely Alice in Chains Above and Beyond is the best of those bands from that era, from that Washington State, Seattle. That's in my top 3 favorite bands of all time. It's definitely Alice in Chains is in that conversation.
right? Okay, yeah. Look, I don't know. There's loads of bands people love. The Who. I don't get the fascination with the Who. You know.
What was the
Um.
second? If I were not to pick Nirvana, I used to think the Beatles, but that's long gone. I guess I kind of want to say Kiss to a certain extent. I don't know. I never got into the Clash. I could never understand I guess I understand the Clash, but never
Well,
that.
see, the punk thing was, you know, I think some of the punk bands did a couple of good songs. You know, even the Ramones did a couple. You know, the Clash did a couple of good songs, but it wasn't a groundbreaking, you know, musical genre or anything. And it was very much of its time now. But then you get people now that think they're punk, like Green Day, and they're just fucking corporate
It
shills.
might have
And
been that one, yeah. Janis Joplin's on the top of that list for overrated artists for me, at least.
okay,
There
I
you go.
don't.
But yeah, Nirvana definitely. Boom.
Okay, absolutely right. That's
There you
grand.
go.
I can take a hint. Right, let's move on. Um,
Randy
right.
Jack.
Question 6. What is your biggest insecurity?
Probably failure. I would say failure. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have that insecurity, whether it's in a relationship, which I have had few and far between, and anything job wise. Although I think it's getting easy. It might just be the age that we live in, where a lot of our a lot of what we do, I think we do similar work. I think a lot of what we do, at least a lot of what I'm able to do, is mostly hybrid, where I don't even if I go into an office, I don't really interface with my whole department or people
Yeah,
around me. But I think just feeling like not, I guess just being afraid of, especially in like a relationship wise thing, saying the wrong thing to somebody and then it gets taken very out of proportion. Now you feel insecure about, okay, now what's the next thing? Is the next thing I'm gonna say gonna offend somebody to the point of like, I'm out of here, see you later? It's like,
yeah,
I don't personally feel like at the end of the day, when you talk to your friends and your family, they will most likely they champion for you for the most part. That's the greatest
yeah,
compliment you can get. But like and they'll tell you straight up, if you the really good people in your life, they'll tell you if you said the right thing or not. And at the end of the day, those are the people that you really need to keep around. So the insecurity and in the failure part of that, you kind of just you need failure in life. On the other side of the coin, you do need failure in your life to give you a nice teaching lesson, and then you move on from every one of those moments where you feel like you failed. You use that as a positive
yeah,
experience to learn.
absolutely. See, that's what I don't get now about giving. Everything's about participation medals now, and
I
and
don't like that at all.
and life isn't like that. You know what I mean? I'm not exactly one of life's winners, and that's fine. I know my level. I know where I'm in the pecking order. And I'm fine with that. But when I was in school, we used to do these athletic awards called the 5-star awards, and you basically you got 1 star if you turned up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say, and you say you were in 100 meters. If you did it at a certain time, you got 1 star. If you did it, and then the better you got more stars. And but I didn't go home thinking, yeah, I'm a complete fucking loser because I couldn't run, the 100 meters in under 10 seconds. You know what I mean? And it worries me now. We're raising generation after generation of fuckwits that
Mhm.
think life's a participation event, and everybody's going to be nice to them, and everybody wins.
I probably have some in this closet over here of these of a couple of things from the '90s of like participation trophies. I feel like I remember one in particular. I feel like I remember just like the general gist of it, where I got a trophy for something and I didn't win something, and I just remember I think I must have uttered it out loud and said, "Here's your." Somebody said, "Here's your trophy," and I remember distinctly uttering out of my mouth, "What for?" I didn't win anything,
Yeah,
but what for? It's like, okay, thanks for coming. Is basically you didn't
yeah,
win, but you get a little. It felt like somebody else got a bigger acknowledgement in a trophy, and then I got just
yeah,
like a smaller one.
yeah.
But you
Because I
were
mean,
both smaller, and the other one was bigger.
yeah, I mean, we weren't stupid as kids. So if everybody got medals and or trophies, but three of them happened to be, if one of them was big and gold colored, then one was slightly smaller but silver, and then you had a bronze one, and everybody else got plastic. I mean, we're not stupid. Well, maybe they are these
Yeah, we
days, but
get it. We get what we got. Yeah, we
yeah, I
get it.
mean, and you know what I mean. We just but it sort of prepared you more for life than because I think that's part of the problem. A lot of the guys are leaving school or university and they're getting into the job market and they're working with people like me that's been working for 30 years. That's not going to put up with the bullshit that they got away with in fucking high school and university. And it's
I've less and less cared about the bullshit really. And if I got a job to do, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat people.
yeah,
And if I got to get it done, and I got to go, not that I'm going out of my way to do this, but if I have to go out of my way to circumvent, if you will, the middleman to get what we need, just to get what we need done,
yeah,
I'm. It's not like I'm saying screw you, but like we're not getting this done. I gotta just talk to somebody to get my job done. This is what I'm hired to do. Sorry,
yeah,
I feel less and less bad about that stuff as I get older. I'm like I'm hired to do a job. Let me attempt to get this thing done.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
failure, biggest insecurity, definitely.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough for work. I work as part of a 3-man team. You know, I have my boss who's really cool, and me and the other guy, and we all get on really well. And you know, I'm trusted to just mostly just get on with things. You know, and that's good. And then I just sort of stay up. My office is now I'm like you, I'm hybrid. I'm in the office. You know, 3 days a week. I'm home. You know, so stop reading the questions. I've starred Miss Piggy's questions. If you want to look
Oh
at
shit!
you want to read
No,
them.
not really.
Um,
Private
you
chat
know,
right
so
now.
right, then we'll move swiftly on. Right, so a real serious one then. So are aliens real? And if so, have they visited us?
I have no idea if they visited us, but I am on the assumption of yes on aliens being real. Absolutely. How can I don't think it I'm not I'm just trying to figure out how to even just vastness of universe cannot discredit other I guess it really we're talking when the general gist of when you say aliens is some kind of an intelligence that has come here from a different world, and if we're
Well,
looking at it that way, I would agree in either sense, right? I would agree that they are real. You know what? Screw this. I would agree that they're real and that they probably have visited us. With no certain, I don't have any certainty that they have, but I would have to assume yes. And there's so much stuff and matter and planets and different solar systems and galaxies in this universe. It is, no pun intended, astronomically impossible to just think that there's nothing else there but just
yeah,
space and dust and random planets around a random star.
yeah. I agree with that. But I just not sure that there's been somebody come visit us. I really, although there it
Yeah,
is
I
possible. It could be like us getting into the jungle and you know try to observe an indigenous tribe that hasn't been, you know, without going in and disturbing them, you know. So it's possible they've come and they've looked at us and went, no, they're not ready, and drove home, you know. But I think just statistically, there's just so many. I mean, there's with millions of galaxies for for God's
Mhm.
sake, you know. So I think it's very narcissistic of us to think that we're the only things in I mean, I'm not saying they look like us or anything, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're almost certainly not the greys that you see in every Roswell spoof and every, you know, hello, fuck. I mean, can you imagine the conspiracy nuts if they did get out and say hello and they walked out and they really did just look like the greys from Roswell and all? Oh, fuck, I think the world would go mental, you know. So
That story is never that's never been a concrete story. What the heck even happened? The
no,
best version of Roswell that I've ever heard that would defute aliens and an extraterrestrial being is as early in the early to mid 50s, the United States was doing rocket launches into outer space with primates and with monkeys. They were doing that, and possibly they could have been keeping that from really the public eye, and they were doing that in the late 40s. And one of these rockets actually had probably a primate or a really small monkey could
mm,
have crash landed in that Roswell desert, and that really small body you found could have
yeah,
been one of the monkeys. And they wanted to keep that out of the public that we were
yeah,
doing space exploration earlier on than anybody thought we were doing. That could have been that's the best excuse I've heard for Roswell. But I would
yeah,
still agree that aliens are real. They could have visited us, but I just think that it's crazy to assume that that may not be the case. That aliens could be real, right? It's
yeah.
crazy.
I
The
see.
universe.
I think most of it's just military experiments. I think
Yeah.
you know if you look at now if you'd have went back 100 years and you'd have told somebody that the likes of the Harrier jump jet was going to exist, you know that a plane was going to it could just you know hop up and fly away, you know, or even you look at the stealth bomb or the SR was it the SR-1, the first American the Blackbird,
The
you know,
Blackbird. Yeah.
somebody saw that and that was probably being tested a good 10 years before it, you know, came into production, you know, so
There's a lot
um,
of weird stuff in archaeology, like Pumu Puku and stuff like that, where everything looks like it's laser precise in how things are cut.
absolutely.
Like, how would they have done that in like the Mayan and Aztec culture era? times.
Yep.
That
I
stuff is mind-boggling. And how are these cultures carrying in, say, like, I forget the name of the area of like Thailand or something like that, where they're gathering stone that's tons and tons and tons uh, in weight. How are they doing stuff like
yeah.
that? That's a whole different story in the piece of the puzzle. If you think aliens may are real, may have even visited.
Absolutely. When you watch the likes of Jimmy Corsetti, who's not someone I'm a big fan of, but him, Randall Carlson, Graham Hancock, amongst others, and they're all guys that say something happened back then, and then Tobacco, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, it's massive. And only last week, excuse me, they've announced they've just found a massive city in the Amazon that they didn't know was there using lidar, and it's good. It's good, banks to protect them from outside forces. It's good, it's laid out in grid form with roads and all sorts of stuff, and that's stuff that a lot doesn't mean it was aliens, but I just like
Yeah,
shit like that. So
it makes your head scratch. All this stuff.
yeah, so okay, so question 8, and this Joey put this one in my head earlier, so thank you,
Okay.
Joey. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, guilty pleasure, meaning I shouldn't like it, right?
No, not necessarily. I suppose it's more like I suppose the example would be so you're a big rock guy, but you happen to like a bit of K-pop for argument's sake, or
Oh,
it could be a film that you like that you're not supposed to like, or it could be it's whatever. There's no right or wrong answer.
all right. A guilty pleasure. That's a good idea. I guess at one
Late
point,
hour.
I would have said the band Journey is my guilty pleasure, but I think everybody and their grandma ends up liking Journey to some degree.
Yeah.
And then I might say ramen noodles because I'm not supposed to like that. I don't want to tell anybody I like cheapo instant ramen noodles, but maybe the instant ramen noodles is probably my goddamn guilty pleasure. I'm gonna use instant ramen noodles, and there's so
Okay.
many different little hacks and tricks I do with them and make them really tasty. Instant noodles, my guilty pleasure, people.
Not Nickelback. No.
Absolutely not, Mark.
I don't mind a bit of Nickelback, and I don't feel guilty about it at all. So
Yeah.
um yeah,
No,
maybe I guilty pleasure Taylor Swift.
I wanted to
Um,
kill.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that myself. Joey sent me a message today. He said, just thought of a question for you, which is great because I um it's harder than you think to come up with 20 questions and
Oh,
try and and change them out. But I like that. Um, Joey's is documentaries about China. That's
holy crap! All right.
you shouldn't feel guilty about learning stuff. I love learning stuff. I
Oh,
love documentaries and stuff like that. I don't read enough anymore, so it tends to be just documentaries these days. So, but good question, Joey. Thank you. So,
yeah, thanks. Yeah, ramen
right.
noodles.
So, another serious one then. So, how would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
How would I survive a zombie apocalypse?
See, there's
Uh,
two kinds of people in the world. There's those of us, the right thinking people, that can't wait for it to happen, and we're looking forward to it. And then you've got the other people that think it won't happen.
Jesus. Wow. How would I survive a zombie apocalypse? That's a great question. I guess we have these stores called in the United States called Cabela's and Bass Pro Shop.
Okay,
That
I've
they're
heard of Bass
like
Pro Shop. Yeah.
the world gone mad. You got camping, you got fishing, you got hunting, you got guns, you got clothing. I would and they're huge stores. And they even have a restaurant, some food in that kind of a place too.
Okay.
I would stake myself out in one of those places and see how long I can survive. I got weapons, I got ammo, I got clothing, I got food, I got camping equipment, I got things to cook with that I can take from the store shelves. Like
Yeah,
that would be a pretty
propane and stuff. Yeah, that's a good. See, I don't have shit like that.
yeah.
Um, we
The
because
classic
obviously
example of them all. I get it, right?
we're not allowed guns. Because fuck the world. We're not allowed guns. It's one of the reasons I want to
Yeah.
move to America. Is to buy guns and stuff. But Um, we used to joke about it when we were out at the pub. You know, a few drinks in us would talk about it, which just shows the level of our discourse when we were out. But you know, it was normally the two topics were how would we survive a zombie apocalypse and who would win in a conventional war between NATO and China. You know, so and 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 never was either satisfactorily answered. You know, but
Mm.
at some point we decided there was a kebab shop in Glengormley where we're going right beside the police station, so we were going to take over the kebab shop and the police station because there'd be guns in the
Okay.
there'd be guns and a bar in the police station because our police stations used to have their own bar and that because they weren't allowed to go out because of security. You know,
Mm.
because the troubles, the police were getting murdered. You see, so they'd have their own bars and restaurant, not restaurant, but sort of cafeteria or whatever. And the kebab shop was right beside it, so we'd be able to have kebabs till the doner meat run
Yep.
out. So
Until it's all
um,
stock. Yeah.
hello Carla, hello BC. Um,
Don't get eaten is right.
yeah. We're there are plenty of guns in Northern Ireland, in fairness, but I don't have any of them. So um, okay. So question 10 then:
Yeah.
does God exist, and does He love you?
If he does exist, he doesn't love me. But no, he doesn't. No, I don't think there is definitely no doubt in my mind not in the existence of a God. No, I don't think so.
Okay. You're the only person other than me that said that.
Hopefully, no, I don't know. My whole thought of one of the prevailing. Well, I actually did a philosophy of religion class in college, and we had I forget what I wrote in this paper we did at the end of this class, but one of the things I remember writing and thinking about was there's a conventional ideology with a lot of people that at the end of the universe is where God is. However, if the universe is ever expanding, where do you get to the end of the universe to go and find the said God?
Yeah.
No one's ever told me that.
Yeah. See, I like that. I remember Ricky Gervais was on Colbert's show one night, and Colbert always gives him grief about being an atheist, because he's super religious and all that. And he just says, "Look, he says, I only don't believe in one more God than you." And Colbert says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, you don't believe in the Mayan gods, the Aztec gods, the Roman gods, the
Right.
Greek gods, none of them. But you believe in your God. I just don't believe in him." She says, "You're dismissing, 999 other gods, but you're expecting everybody to believe in yours and not Zeus or Poseidon or whatever."
Yeah, and I suppose in that regard, it really depends on what is your definition of a God, and what is God, right?
Yeah,
Is it one sole entity? Are there many entities? Is it just what's created the universe, and then the universe is itself God, just by
yeah,
nature of how the Big Bang could have or maybe didn't happen, which would
yeah,
disprove God, and then tell us, and then create physics based on that and how the laws of physics work. Who knows about that stuff? But if there was a God and people go into, I don't know, international wars or whatever to get their limbs blown off, what don't you think a God would help that person, help them regenerate their limbs? If there is a God and he's trying to, in this, he or she's trying to do good, regenerate my limbs, how come there are paraplegics out there in the world then?
yeah. There's a guy. Sorry. Um, there's a guy over here. He's a really, really, really big star. He's super intellectual and all, and real. Seems to be a real likable guy. But he's
Yep.
a famous atheist, Stephen Fry, and he was asked on one of the. He was on a chat show in Ireland. He was asked about, well, what if you're wrong? What if you're standing in front of, God, and you have to justify yourself? And he would say, and his response was, I would say, how dare you? How dare you give kids bone cancer? How dare you give, And he went on this wee rant about a lot, like
Yeah.
you there, and
Yeah.
I like
My
that. I
life,
mean,
I don't know.
sorry,
My life, if I found out there was an existence of a God, of that's just the tricky part. You're posing it, does God, not a God, does God, the plural or the proper noun of God, one person or entity. But like, if I found out there was a God, I guess cool. However, my life is not changed in any fashion just knowing that you existed. To my knowledge, at least, I don't know how this would work if we found out this entity or being existed. How would I know otherwise? And there are people that say they have divine intervention and bull crap like that.
Yeah.
That say that I know physically that this person or entity talked to me. I have no knowledge of any of that. That probably, I'm assuming that's never going to happen in my life. And if I find out that God exists, cool. But like, there's been no bearing on my life with this entity. So I've just been doing my own thing and been trying to make the best out of my own existence, my own way.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
That's how
I agree. I can't disagree with that at all. So,
But
right.
really quickly, for anybody to have that opinion that God exists is perfectly fine in my book. My main concern is if you look down on anybody else that doesn't have that same opinion and you think of me negatively because of that, we are going to have a hard time associating if that's the case. You're going to look at me
Yeah.
negatively because of that. That's all.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, people are entitled to their own faith. You know, that's believe what you want. Just leave me alone. And I think that's where we're going
Yep.
wrong. You know, because some of the religions more than others are incredibly intolerant of other people. You
Yeah.
know, and that at some point down the line is going to lead to an awful lot of hurt. It's
Cause
you
a
know,
lot of wars.
yeah, I mean, but I think it's going to cause internal strife in countries and all down the line because you know you know I don't want to single out one religion over another because I'm not a fan of any of them. But you know, the Christianity sort of moved on from imposing itself. You know, the Jews have never really done it, and but you know, Islam, you know, militant Islam is just it's incredibly invasive and it's domineering. You
You're not
know,
getting
so
burned at the stake anymore in Christianity for having a scientific thought in this day
no,
and age, at least,
no,
is what
no.
kind of what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
It's gone
you know.
from
So
you think differently than me. Well, then we're just going to do the ancient version of the death penalty.
yeah, no. Right. So we're at the halfway mark. Okay. So at this point, I normally stop for a drink, and I'm gonna go wee bit swankier tonight. So we're going for the 12-year-old
Nice.
single malt. You know, I do have a bottle of 16-year-old there that I threatened to open last week for
All right.
therapy, but I sort of I forgot. So
Oh,
this
no
so
problem.
far this has been my favorite tipple. Apart from I tried that Middleton.
Oh, okay.
And I was out for work for Christmas, and one of the bosses bought me a glass of it. It's like £30 a glass. So
Ooh.
so yeah, and it was lovely. It was so nice that for about a week I kept looking on Amazon, checking the price, and it was going up and down, and I was I'm
Huh.
not doing it. It was too much money, but it was lovely. But this is right up there with it anyway. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not super out of reach expensive in the United States. The one you're drinking right now, either.
well, that's a distillery exclusive, so I suppose you can buy it from the website. But
Wow. All
over
right.
here, the 12-year-old you can only get here direct. They don't stock at the shops. You have to either buy it direct from
Huh.
them online or physically go up like I do because it's close enough to go up to. But
Huh.
it's just at some point we'll have to do an online one. But look, it's lovely and dark, and it's just
Yeah.
lovely. And I'm not exactly an experienced whiskey drinker. I've only been drinking it for about 18 months,
Sure.
but that's oh my god, that's just lovely. You know.
Nice.
Um, right, okay. So back to the questions. So question 11: if you could pick one superpower, what would it be?
One superpower. Oh, that's a really good question. Wow. Well, I thought of it that way. Superpower. I don't know. Freezing. Do you want to go back in time? Do you want to freeze time? Is it something related to time itself? You want to be invisible to do creepy freaking things? That would be kind of weird. Nah, I don't want to be creepy and be like, I'm in the women. No, I don't want to do that. Do I want X-ray vision? Do I want laser eyeballs? Do I want fingertips that can go on fire? I suppose being able to, I don't know, being able to, what was that movie? There was a movie with what's his name there? Jim Carrey, where he had a remote control that could pause and
Oh, I know what when you were
time.
yeah.
Maybe something like that, where you could kind of not necessarily, maybe you're trying to go in like a time machine back to XYZ year or something like that. But if you could like just like stop and pause time and like hopefully in doing that, try to as best as you can to like stop stupid crap from happening, or like, wait a minute, I
Right.
need to pause and really think about this before you guys do this, or whatever it is, or move this, or pause and move this person into this other
Right.
area and not do that. That would be great, I guess. The ability
See
to
that
pause.
there's a Richard Curtis film called About Time, which is something like that's Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams,
Ooh, okay.
and I only watched it because Rachel McAdams was in it, and she's like, you know, she's just like right up there as one of the best, you know. Um, but
Mm,
he was able to go in. The men and his family were able to basically go into a cupboard and come out, and they could. It was almost like time travel within their own life. So what it meant was they were able to do something stupid, work out what they did stupid, and then go back 5 minutes and and fix it.
video.
So he used it to basically woo her because he basically worked out everything she liked and all.
Gotcha.
Um, and it's an okay film. To be honest, it's probably only okay because Rachel McAdams in it. And I'll watch almost anything she's in, because she's a honey. Um, but the best thing about it is he got to bang her 3 times on their first. She was a bit underwhelmed the first time, so he just went into the cupboard, got back out again, and then he changed her what he was doing, and they went again, and then she was, oh, that was really good, like, because it's important the first time. And he went into the cupboard, got back out, and went the third time. It was like,
Sure.
which was quite funny, So, hello, Daniel. Daniel's back. So, um, okay. So that we bit of time travel. Well, see, I mean, Daniel has give the best answer to that so far. I mean, where is it? This knucklehead. He wanted to be able to dig big holes really quickly,
Huh.
So,
All right.
and carry the shopping in, So, which seems like a bit of a waste of a superpower, but each to their own. So,
Yes. Yeah.
um, okay. So a YouTube question again, then, because
Yep.
that's where we know everybody from. Who on YouTube has surprised you the most? I suppose you can make it a what. I think it's sort of who or what has surprised you most on.
On YouTube. Um, what surprised me the most on YouTube? Um, it's a really good question. What's like what on YouTube, or who specifically?
It could be either or, whatever you're comfortable
I
with.
don't really want. I'm not trying to. I mean, one thing that kind of sticks out, and that was the point of the whole incident that happened, I suppose here. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Preface. Nor do I hate the individual I'm about to name physically. You probably maybe or don't know where I'm going with this. I am a subscriber, I am a fan and a friend, but I will still say this anyways. Is our dear buddy Chedio. And
Okay.
Chedio, he got himself into a little, I'll paraphrase the best I can, got himself into a little hot water because he used to work at I think it was a public library in Denver,
Yep.
Colorado. And I forget what the name of the entity was that comes into that's on YouTube, that goes into public places and just
Guys, it's the First Amendment guys, the auditors.
and they're filming in public places to see how much they can get away with before somebody says, "Hey, you got to leave," or like the legal action gets placed on them, whatever it is. So they're in the public library that Chatty is working at, and just like filming in the children's section or whatever it is. And Chatty is just like getting like super frustrated and aggravated about all of this stuff, to the point where he starts screaming and yelling and swearing, and this entity has it all filmed, and he's Yeah, and he's throwing water bottles. He's throwing chairs. He's like, "Get the poop out of my pooping library!" Poop. He throws a chair. And he throws a giant like Yeti-ish water bottle or whatever, and he's throwing
Yeah.
it all around like he's the second coming of Christ or whatever. And then he's slamming doors, and the police come or whatever. And then you got those guys on camera going, "See, that's why we film here." That was I'm still good friends with the dude, but I'm like, I've never seen anything like that on YouTube. That's kind of surprised me the most. There you go.
Yeah,
That's what surprised me
that
the most.
was that was a weird one because I wasn't subscribed to Chario at the time, and I'm
Yep.
not now. But so I didn't know about his temper issues. I just literally was just literally just flicking through YouTube, and it popped up the
Yeah.
angry librarian, and I went, and I wasn't even sure. I texted one of the guys. She's like, "Was that Chario?" And I went, "Yep." And I and I've said this because we've talked about First Amendment guys, not Chario. I liked them to begin with, and I like it when the whole police state count and stop police overreaching and the military and all that there. But see, getting into where because people who work in the DMV and the public libraries and all this, not did are you upholding the Constitution? Fuck off, you dick! I'm working because I want to pay for beer at the weekend.
Uh-huh.
It's not the same as trying to make sure police don't use powers they're not entitled to and making sure the military don't overstep. That's different. I'm fine. And I'm pro police, so I'm not having to go. I definitely back the blue, as you guys say. But at the same time, they need to be held. They can't just stop and search you. They can't just pull you over for no reason. Can't. So I loved all that. But see, once they moved into fucking libraries and and the DMVs and post offices, torturing people who work in a post office, do they not realize that the term "going postal" was invented for people in a fucking post office going
Yeah.
nuts?
Yeah,
And
pretty
they're
much.
going in because they think they're safe because they've got cameras. I'm live, Okay, I'll stop shooting you. It's just um, it's yeah, it's the height of insanity. I think and
Pretty
it's
much.
just it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Um, Miss Peggy, I'll mark that. I can't remember. I know Denver Metro audits
Like that, yeah.
did one of the wee pricks in the video was called the long haired Mexican. And he just sounded like somebody. I Mexican long hair. There you go. I've got the words wrong. He sounded like a wee dick that had just crawled out of his mum's basement. Still had fucking Cheeto dust on his fingers and cum stains on his t-shirt. And he just shouldn't have been out trying to educate people. And that's I felt sorry for Chadio. I mean, much as he overreacted, and I've talked to him about it, he way overreacted. He played, he did exactly what they wanted him to do. At the
Yep.
same time, they just shouldn't be there, So,
Yeah.
just
Agreed.
shouldn't be doing it. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. So, question 13: what's been the worst experience of your life?
Oh, the worst experience of my life. Wow. Um, Holy crap. That's a really good question. Wow. Worst experience of my life. Wow. Oh, do I want to say that publicly or not? I guess is the question, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I did in the grand. I know I review beer and all that crap, but I did in the grand scheme of things, being a peer reviewer and whatnot, get the driving under influence charge one time in my life. That was a pretty gnarly experience. That
oh, okay.
should be in that. Nope, nope. That's been the worst experience. And you're spending out of pocket almost $6,000 to fight that crap.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, people. You drink this stuff at home or in moderation when you're out and about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's one of those things. I won't even if I drink tonight, I'll not drive tomorrow
Don't do
because
that.
that's where most people these days get caught. I mean, you get people that get in when they're stupid drunk and they shouldn't do, but most people over here are getting caught the next morning. You know,
Yep.
because they're drinking to 3 or 4 in the morning, and they're getting up for work at 7:30, and they think they're sober.
Yep.
Um,
That's the worst experience of my life, definitely. I got caught with that one once.
yeah, it's weird. Like say, I forgot a friend that he nearly killed a tourist that was over. He had a friend over or some relative over from Australia. He had was visiting Northern Ireland, and they were out hammered, and he totaled the car on a country road, and the guy ended up in hospital, had to learn how to walk and all again, and he was crawling about the field, eating grass and all as if it would hide the, get rid of the smell of the drink and stuff, because he was hammered and stupid, and he always said the same thing. It was the worst thing he could,
It's the worst
the
thing
worst thing he ever did, So,
yeah.
okay,
Well, answer on that.
yeah, no, fair play. So a little bit more up your alley, I think. Then, so what artist, dead or alive, would you most like to work with?
What I want to work with? Wow. For like what? What reasoning would I say? I want to work with that guy because I feel like I've been asked. I feel like in passing with friends and people, I've chatted about that kind of thing before. I would like to work with. My favorite guitar player is Eric Clapton. That would be kind of fun. I would suppose. Yeah, why not? Artist dead or alive, I'd like to work with. Wow. Yeah, Eric Clapton would be a big one, but then you get overshadowed by Eric Clapton. But that's sort of the point there. You're on stage with him anyway, so like to be accepted on stage with an Eric Clapton would be kind of cool. Like a Leslie West of Mountain would be kind of awesome as well.
Okay, so guitarist, not
really good melodic sense that you can feed off of, that they will feed off of you, and it feels almost like a education and stuff, where you can look at them, they'll look at you. You can start to read and understand body language and where to go and where to not go and stuff like that. I feel like people like that would be a really good artist to work with. Something like an Eric Clapton or a Leslie West of Mountain. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, Eric Clapton definitely would be the number one.
So not a drummer or not a frontman?
No, I mean, I feel like Eric Clapton's kind of a front man, but as like a drummer or whatever it is, that would be fun to jam and play around. I'd rather jam or play with other musicians than drummers, I guess. If I'm the drummer and I want to jam with some other musicians or work with somebody else, I'd rather work with a different person on a different instrument.
Okay.
Just in a jam, you take these 4 bars and I'm gonna solo on these 4 bars on the drums and you solo another 4. No, I'd rather jam musically and see what comes out of that with the right set of people. And I feel like those two sets of people would be cool.
It's easier to have multiple guitars, I suppose, than it is multiple drum kits.
Definitely,
I don't mean just physically.
Like the Grateful Dead, how that works, or like the Doobie Brothers or something. But yeah, I think it's easier to have multiple guitar players, definitely.
But I mean, you look at like bands like Thin Lizzy that sort of played slightly different tuning to give that sort of, the two main guitarists were playing most of the same stuff, but just tuned differently to give you that that sound, and you can always do rhythm and lead and take, you can have multiple lead men, just, but I think the problem.
I suppose if the entire band of Cream were still alive, that would be a fun band to work with and jam with. That would be super fun. That's one of my favorite bands, definitely.
But it would be it'd be tough for a mere mortal to play with one of the legends, though, because you'd be standing there, you'd almost be afraid to, I don't want to make a tick of myself. I don't want him to just shake his head and walk off, or
right.
And then you don't want to step on his toes either, because I mean you're busting to come in and do a wee bit, but you don't want to interrupt Clapton, so yeah, it would be
no. The thing you got to do is be the bigger musician and actually play appropriately for the situation that you're in, and it's not an ego trip or anything. I think we talked about earlier about the fact that you may not be listening to the most technically involved music, but there's a certain degree of difficulty in reserving yourself and playing what's appropriate for that particular musical situation. That to me can be more difficult than trying to fill the space with all the notes you possibly can. And then what did you do? You just played all possibly the wrong notes, or you just played too many things that just ruined the moment that was trying to be created there. You don't want to do that.
I get that, and then I suppose, and this is going to sound stupid, but you also don't want to play with somebody that's just a dick. You want to play with somebody that's going to be magnanimous enough to show you stuff and to let you play, and You know, whereas if you get somebody like, I mean, I know JB loves him, but the likes of fucking Van Morrison, who is by all accounts a complete bell end, you know,
Sure.
fantastic singer and all, and I love his stuff, but he's just a hateful person. Actually, my mum knew him from back in the day because he's from Belfast, and my mum knew him and said he was just a dick even when he was just a kid before he was famous. He was just one of those, you know. So, um, and so yeah, that would be important. Having somebody that's nice enough that's gonna let you do your bit. So
Yeah,
um
I'd like you to do that.
okay,
Yeah.
so Clapton then.
Yeah,
So
I think so. I think that'd be
well,
fun. Yeah.
Clapton's fantastic. He's one of those guys that he's always into the when you do a top guitarist, he's always one of the
I
ones
know.
named.
Oh, yeah.
There's guitarists that miss out. I
No,
give a bit
all
of
the time. Yeah, all the time.
yeah, because I think Brian May doesn't get discussed enough. I think Brian May's a fantastic
Yep,
guitarist, but I think
definitely.
people because he's lost that cool factor, and I don't give a fuck whether somebody's cool or they're rock and roll or whatever. He's just brilliant. Angus, ironically, ACDC is my favorite band, and I think Angus
Okay.
is he's under because he's very rarely in the top 10 guitarist list, and you're going, well, yeah, okay, Stevie Vai can hit more notes quicker and all, but can he write Highway to Hell? Can he write Back in Black? Can he?
Those are the notes that you want to
There's
hear.
a difference between playing and writing, I think. So
Yep.
anyway, right. So question 15 then. Where would you most like to travel to and why? I don't know if you've traveled much, so maybe you want to start with that.
I've not been. I've been to Canada. That's about as much outside of the United States I've ever.
That doesn't count as travel.
Yeah, it's not super outside of the states there. But
No.
where would I most like to travel? I mean, I'd really like to get to Germany for selfish reasonings of going to this little, is it a 2 or 3 day festival called the Wacken Open Air for metal?
Yeah.
Great. That would be Germany, and then I got Fraunfelter. My last name is of Swiss roots from the Zurich, Switzerland area, near the German borders, and I also so last name is not necessarily German, but that's my father's side of the family. My mother's side of the family is Seifert, which is of German descent. So you could kind of kill a couple of birds with one stone, going to Germany for the music, for the beer, for the some of the little heritage lesson there. That'd be really cool. Getting to
Yeah.
Germany in general would be really fun.
I couldn't do a festival anymore. I did a few
Yep.
and loved them. I just couldn't put up with the rain. See, camping. If it did it,
Yeah, I get it.
I'd have to be one of those ones that stayed in a hotel because the last one I went to
Yeah.
2012 was Download, Newcastle Donington,
Yep.
and the music was brilliant. But it rained for about a week before we got there. It
Wow.
rained, and it was just hell. And it was actually it was nicknamed Drownload because it was so wet. We did threaten to go to Hellfest, which I think's
Yep.
France. And we talked about Vakken because Vakken's it's much more hardcore, But in saying that, one of my favorite bands, Saxon, plays there nearly every year.
Ooh, okay.
But they come to Belfast. I don't really need to travel too far to see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vakken's one of those, Vakken's a go-to place. Germany, I could go to work, or sorry, I could go to Germany through
Mm,
work. At times we buy a lot of German timber and stuff, and
sure.
although I don't like to travel anymore, so
I
it,
got
it
you.
doesn't happen. But yes, Germany for Slovakian. Um, so to go there, so have you done festivals over the US? Because you used to have some real good Ozfest and all, and
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Ozfest came to the town that I actually live in. We have a local amphitheater here, and I went to that thing every year since 2001 when they had it. That was loads of fun. That was just the one day, and then they would do after that kind of thing. After that ship sailed, they had the Mayhem Fest that was done by I think that was sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink. Oh boy, yeah, we did that for a while. I've been to one Vans Warp Tour, and then in my neck of the woods, they do a thing called the New England Hardcore and Metal Fest.
right,
That's
okay,
always fun. Yeah, every conceivable kind of metal would be at this New England Hardcore and Metal Fest. Good fun time for about a solid 6-8 hours all day. Nice, 3 different stages. Some of them inside, some of them outside. good time. I've never been to a festival except for actually I gotta stand corrected because we went to one with a couple. I went to one with a couple of YouTube friends in May. We went down to Memphis, Tennessee. They have a festival called the Memphis in May. Well, they used to. They're not doing it
Okay.
anymore. They had it on the banks of the Mississippi River, and they had it was a 3-day music festival that we all got tickets for. And the headliners, I'm trying to remember, at least one of the nights, it was, go figure, it was Greta Von Fleet, and then the very last night was Robert Plant himself. Go figure that.
Right. Okay.
And we ran into Robert Plant at well, we saw him, and then we saw a bunch of people taking a photograph of him at a restaurant we all went to.
Right.
That was pretty
Cool.
great.
He played Belfast recently, and I know him. I love Zeppelin, but
Yep.
anytime I've seen him recently, he's just doing his world music stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah, he's doing like the roots country kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm just bored with all that shit. Paul Simon went down that road, and when they discovered Native.
That's the only time I ever actually went to a concert and actually got on a plane or went somewhere where I spent the few days to actually go to said concert was over in May in Memphis, Tennessee. That's a cool town. We went to Sun Studios to check out. I went to Sun Studios and checked out the vintage recording studio from the 50s. That's still in use to this day. And people like Elvis Presley and a lot of the big blues artists and some of the rockabilly guys were recording there back in the day. That was a really cool place to go to for a music fan. You got to go to Memphis.
Right. See, I mean, if I ever do make it over,
yep.
Hello, Raven. If I ever do make it to America, and I'm threatening to come over next year and do a proper visit, obviously I want to meet people that I've met through YouTube and friends I've made through YouTube, but I also want to go and see certain things. We're talking about Machu Picchu and go back and tap it all, but up in Ohio they've got the Serpent's Mount, which is fantastic. But I want to go and see Memphis because Memphis is a party town as well. But I want to go and see, and drink some moonshine and fucking listen to some music, live music and that down there as well. So we'll see what happens. So okay, so question 16: what would your 3 desert island albums be?
Wow, holy shit, mushrooms. Wow. It's a really effing good question. For whatever reasoning, the Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged kind of rings a bell. That would be a good get. What else resonates with me on that level that I want it to be one of the last things on the planet Earth to listen to? Yeah, Alice in Chains Unplugged would be kind of nice. Wow. 2 other things, huh?
It's a really tough thing to do. I normally have 2 fairly constant, and then my third sort of changes. So I know it's tough.
Holy crap, holy. I almost kind of want to say Master of Puppets Metallica. Maybe I should say that.
Well, yeah, it's one that normally, it gets through out there. It's one I think about.
Is there anything that I've just like put on and I go, damn, like that's an album? Like of all time, really. Like what's one thing I could just put on and not get bored of it, like ad nauseum? Those 2 albums would be pretty good.
I'll give you a laugh. Blake, idiot that he is, one of his was Bone Thugs and fucking Harmony. So it just shows you the level. Yeah, the level he's at.
There's got to be a third. Like a Rush. I like my favorite band's Rush, but I don't. In me saying that, I don't even think I want to use. I don't think I want to listen to them on a desert island, but they're one of my favorite band. I'd rather listen to Metallica than Rush. It's like my last resort. Holy shiitake mushrooms. Wow, like 60s, 70s, 80s. I grew up in the 90s. I don't think there's anything from the 90s. I mean, I could listen to that Green Day Dookie album at nauseam and not get bored of it, but that may be a nostalgia thing. Yeah. I do like Green Day, but that may be a nostalgia
album.
that whole album, not get bored of it, though.
Yeah,
that could. Maybe. Maybe Dookie by Green Day, if I got to be completely honest. I could listen to that at nauseam and not be bored. There
So
you go.
Master Puppets,
Yeah.
Dookie, and what was there was a Pearl Jam? Was
What did
it?
I say? The Alice in Chains
Alice
MTV
in Chains.
Unplugged.
Sorry.
Heck
But
yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to some Alice in Chains because people keep saying about it, and I don't know enough about them. But so for what it's worth, for me, High Voltage, AC/DC.
Yup.
No, my first ever album, first thing I ever bought on vinyl, ever. Back when there's people that don't even know what vinyl is anymore. Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here,"
Okay.
and it's either Zep 2 or Master of Puppets.
Okay.
Or truth be told, sometimes, a lot of time, definitely, maybe. I love that first Oasis album
Yes. Sure.
with Supersonic and Live Forever and all, and it would give me a bit more variety as well because I love out and out rock and roll with AC/DC out of something more melodic and deep in Pink Floyd, and then out of Oasis is just fucking. It's just balls to the wall, old school rock and roll. Because I mean, funny enough, I've been watching some of the old videos, and you can tell how well a band's doing with their equipment and all their Les Pauls or Epiphone in the early videos, and then you see them later on, their Gibsons. Once they start getting free guitar, free shit from but and yeah, I've started to notice shit like that, but so it's but that would be my three. But it's tough, and to be honest, it changes. It depends what mood you're in.
Exactly.
I suppose it depends what mood you're in when you're packing for that horrible flight that's going to go down in the Pacific, say the island. So
Yeah, a little bit.
and you have to remember to pack your wind up record player as well, otherwise you're fucked. So okay. So question 17: have you always made friends easily, and is it getting harder as you get older?
I think it's getting easier as I get older, to be completely honest. And I think maybe we talked about this earlier about jobs and me not caring as much about what people thinking. Like, I got to get a job done. I got to cut the middleman to get a job done. I'm just going to do it that way. It's those kind of, and then music and we talked about the percussion ensemble, the best experience of my life. And I think the music thing in general has really made it easier to make friends and to converse with people because I can just it was a little difficult for me in my life because I'm not that I'm an introvert, however, or anything like that, but it seemed that like for a while in my life, I know I'm on YouTube. It seems weird to say it that way, but it felt like it was just hard to have a conversation with a complete stranger. Like, what am I going to talk to you about? Honestly, really, maybe that has something to do with the relationships or the lack of them with a significant other that maybe I had in my life. But in saying that, I think music has been a really good thing. The job thing has been a really good thing. And just the more I do both things, the more I'm in front of crowds talking to new people, whether that's in a job, again, a musical setting, just easier it gets to converse with people. That kind of just has music more than anything has helped me kind of open up to people, and I can now easily converse with people that I just don't really know. And it was a little bit of a struggle at one point, even just like to figure out what to talk about. But when you come across somebody and you find something common to really talk about, that makes it much easier than just to be like, oh, hello, who are you? And what am I talking about with you?
Yeah.
But
No, I
as the
understand.
age, it gets easier, yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't think it has for me. I'm still terrible with people. People know me through this thing. I'm a talker, but I'm only a talker with people that have got to know a lot.
Yep.
And this is slightly different because if you jump up on Joey's panel, for argument's sake, and I'm there, then you're part of a group and you can talk that way. And people, if they want to talk to me or know you from watching your shit or watching you on other people's shows. So they have that in to talk to. But still at this, I mean, I could jump up on a panel now. I'm still uncomfortable on camera and stuff, but I could jump up on a panel and I could talk to people on the panel because it's YouTube land. But do that in the real world, put me in a room with 5 people, I don't know, and I'm the quietest one in the room. So So, but yeah, I'm interested. I like that question just because I'm so bad at it. I sort of like to get other people's take on it, So
No, I get it. That's been me most of my adult life, to be completely honest.
yeah,
That
so
still is, but yeah.
yeah,
The whole thing about playing music in most of the time, well, a lot of the time it being people you don't really know, that makes it super. It makes it super. Some people kind of get I'm not the what am I trying to get at? Some people don't know how. Some people get taken back a little bit and kind of get a little bit of a I don't know. They kind of just freeze when somebody comes up to them, maybe after they played a show, and somebody say, "Hey, that was a really good set," and some people just kind of like freeze with it. I'm like, this one dude saying, "Hey, that was a bleeping good set." I'm just like, that just made my night.
yeah,
Here, well, let's have a beer and celebrate. That I'm like, cool. Now I'm like, everything feels great. One person says that, the whole night is just made that much more cool. I'll tell you that.
yeah. But
Feels
I'd imagine like being the band must be good for the likes of that because you must be, before the thing you can say like, I'm trying to focus. We're on stage soon, and then after you look people.
afterwards. Yeah,
You
depending on
can't
what
have too
happened.
many people that are such dicks come up after go, yeah, you were rubbish. I'd
Not
imagine most people are saying like, good job, lads, enjoyed that or whatever.
yeah. You're your own worst critic, really. At the end of the day, I've been in bands with people. I can think of one in particular that was never happy about anything he ever did when he was on stage. He always just bitched and moaned and complained about. I'm like, just really okay. This is just an unenjoyable experience of being in a band with somebody that never is happy all the time.
Yeah, look, it's um. I mean, a wee bit of self reflection and introspection is a
Good.
good thing, but just constant, self loathing isn't healthy. Yeah, because I mean, you know yourself that the really successful people are constantly going, no, that's not right. Do it again. And they're striving for perfection, knowing that they're not necessarily going to get it. But it's But
Mm-hmm.
I get it that constant, no, woe is me, and this wasn't good enough. We weren't good enough. That would get to you in a while. So, hello Aubrey,
Yeah.
no sniffing glue. So, um, is that one of your guys? I don't recognize that name.
No, I have
No.
no clue who that is. Hello, sir.
Well, welcome to the channel.
Hello.
So, okay. So, question 18: what annoys you most about the current music scene?
Oh my God, we could have a whole 8-hour discussion about that nonsense. Um, what annoys me the most about the musical scene? What currently popularized music where it's oh my God, how do I describe it in a nutshell to like a really nice and coherent, concise package? Nobody hardly is ever truly singing themselves.
Okay.
Everything is truly processed in the background to the point where you actually have no musicians in the background. There's no interaction with you on the stage. The only interaction you have with anybody musically is your sound engineer in the studio going, do that again. There's no interaction. You know what? There's no interaction hardly with anybody musically playing an instrument with you on your stage.
Yeah.
None of it sounds. I guess the point I'm getting at, maybe this is maybe a nice way to put it. None of current music, quote unquote, feels natural and organic anymore.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
don't you,
feel like
you
I
don't have to
can't
be
hear
nice, by the
you
way.
and I interacting together. Yeah.
Yeah, you can be as unnice as you want. So you don't need to be nice about it. But I agree with everything you said. Auto tune is terrible because one song just sounds almost exactly the same as the next because it's all put through a computer.
Yep.
You know, um, Ironically, uh, I'm not a big fan of her these days. I like some of her early stuff, but Adele, for better or worse, sings naturally, and you can
Yep.
hear the imperfections in her recordings, even never mind live. And I
Sure.
always respected that, because that was an absolute prime example of talent winning over, you know, uh, looks, because she was a big girl. She wasn't super pretty or anything, but she was just so good. The talent shone through.
Yep.
When you when you look at them now, they're all just so bland. It's just the same crap repackaged and repackaged and repackaged, and I don't see anything new, original, or interesting about
Uh-huh.
almost any of it.
Uh-huh.
You know, I just think there's a real lack of bands. I mean, I'm a metal guy. I mean, not just a metal guy. I like a bit of old classic country. I like a wee bit of, if I'm in the right mood, somebody puts Bob Marley on, I'm delighted. It's just a good song's a good song. But when you listen to some of the crap that people are putting out, it's all style over substance.
Mhm.
And it's just I hate that. And it used to be, and I was joking earlier about wanting, like the hot girls in the videos again, and yes, I do want that because I'm an old pervert. Um, at the same time, there used to be really good bands, because I used to be able to go and listen to my sort of music, but there's 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 very few current bands that I really really like,
Yeah.
and it worries me, and especially in the rock genre, because I mean, I haven't been to a festival now, and this will be the 12th year I haven't went to one. But the headliners, the ones I went to, was Metallica headline two of them, ACDC headline one of them,
Hmm.
Aerosmith, Iron Maiden. They're all bands that have been going from the fucking 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? There's no new big bands that are big enough to headline a rock festival, and that worried me. It worries me still.
Hmm.
And that's why the recycled Kiss would come over every couple of years. And
The production and your production value. I don't know about that because production can have a certain sound to it, but I'm saying it negatively where you can overproduce and have all this stuff going on in whatever you just produced to the point where how in the world are you about to replicate any of this live and what are you going to have to do to do it is everything needs to be tracked to grids, everything needs to be in a monitor where you're hearing a click track, everybody's got to stand this way and go this way and jump at the same exact time, and there's and literally what annoys me, maybe it's on a musician level, I have no idea, maybe the old dude that remembers Woodstock and loves the 70s may agree with me where I'm an old curmudgeon from 1988 born. Go figure. But maybe I like watching a band on stage and their energy and what they're doing is feeding off of every other person on that stage. And you basically have to rely on the other person to pick you up to do your thing on that stage. And it's not the sound engineer's job. And it shouldn't, to me at least, it shouldn't be the sound engineer's job to make sure you hear synth patch number 48 in your ear monitor properly to do your job.
yeah, I think some of the best stuff I've seen in my life,
Anyway.
and I mean, I've been to hundreds of gigs, seen hundreds of bands, and you know, but it was some of the impromptu stuff. I remember the first time I saw Slash live. It was shortly after he did that first solo album where collaboration album where Miles Kennedy was involved and
Okay.
Fergie was on it, and because Motorhead were on the same gig
Yep.
during Slash's gig, Lemmy come on and they did Doctor Alibi,
Ooh, okay.
which was great. And then later on, because Motorhead were much higher up the list at that point, and then whenever they were playing, well, obviously we'll see Motorhead, and then Lemmy come on, or sorry, Slash come on and played with Motorhead. It was brilliant. And then one of the Sonosphere at Debworth,
Ooh.
you'd the big four were playing. That's what they were touring on. So you had Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, and Slayer, but they also had Diamond Head with them
Ooh.
at that.
Okay.
And so all five bands come on at the end and played "Am I Evil?" Now it was chaotic because you had about 8 guitarists, and
Yeah.
you know, but it was great. But that was proper musicians just getting on a stage and fucking rocking out.
Yep.
And I don't think that happens anymore. I don't think they could do it
Well,
anymore. And when you see some of the footage now of where there's technical issues and the people are standing just still miming on stage, and I'm going, why are you wankers paying loads of money to go watch somebody mime?
because they
You
look nice.
know,
Good.
um, it just
Yep.
it just gets to me a lot, you know. So
Yeah.
um, there are bands. There's good bands out there. I'm not saying there's none. I was lucky enough last year. Blackberry Smoke came to Belfast, which was great.
Saw them this year, yep. Or last
Really,
year.
really like them. But
One of the
someone
better
older
bands.
saw Rival Sons played Belfast. They were really good.
Yeah.
Californian rock band. JV put me on them. So the guy's voice is, you know, is fantastic, and they actually supported the support band was probably this good. Dirty Honey, you
Oh,
know,
okay. I know that. I know there. Yeah.
yeah, Dirty Honey. They supported them, but we didn't know they were supporting them, and that you just got there. But we actually talking to the band after, you know, and we were all sort of complaining we didn't know you were playing, otherwise would have got down earlier, you know.
Yeah.
So there are bands there. There's an English band I love called Nothing But Thieves. You know, they're not everybody's cup of tea, but uh, I some of their stuff's much rockier than others. You know, so there are bands there, but I just think when you're struggling to name 5 bands that you like, there's
Not
something
good.
wrong with the music industry. You know, so
Yeah.
um, okay, so question 19. What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Conspiracy theory. I don't really
So I'm
subscribe.
not saying it's one you believe. I'm not saying it has to be one you think's true.
All right.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Wow. Conspiracy theory. Wow. I don't really subscribe to any of them. Prescribe, if you will. But
Well, you don't have to believe it, but just
yeah,
what's the one that sort of
it's a good one.
the ones you did the Bushmills?
Oh yeah. Conspiracy. So, like, I would suppose that would depend on what your definition of a conspiracy theory is. Now we got fossil records of dinosaurs lying around, and then you got people that say, "Oh no, but the world was created in 7 days." That seems like a conspiracy theory to me, if you
Yeah.
will. The whole idea of God, and then he created this whole thing in 7. He created this whole world in 7 days. That feels like quite a conspiracy theory for some reasoning. The people are trying to indoctrinate you on. I don't know what the reasoning behind that is, that you need to indoctrinate me on the fact that God is real or whatever it is. But maybe just God himself is a conspiracy theory. I have no idea. Something around the lines of God, and he did this all in 7 days, and that there's a particular legitimate reasoning why he just sprinkled around, he or she or it just sprinkled around all these dinosaur fossils all over the place. That seems like a conspiracy-ish theory to me, I suppose.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. You know, like I'm not a believer. Because I'm smart enough to realize that most religions, well, whether there is or isn't a God, let's take that out of it. But the
Yeah.
actual religions are nearly all. I mean, most of the fucking the religious holidays or festivals are taken from the pagan calendar anyway. Like Easter, you know, is an out and out pagan festival. It was just sort of hijacked by the so yeah, I hadn't even thought about it that way, but yeah, that's a good one. Joey and I have talked about this a couple of times recently. I only stumbled across this conspiracy theory a couple of weeks ago that supposedly there was the aliens that populated the Earth, and because they need gold, they put in our DNA a love for gold, so some people say that's why humans were fascinated with gold even before it became useful for technology and all that there. So we're harvesting it for the aliens apparently.
Wow,
Um,
that's a good
it's
one.
yeah. So I like that one. It's stupid. I know it's stupid, but I like it. But um,
Interesting.
yeah, that made me chuckle. So no, Bushmills isn't posh Buckfast. Bushmills is the Bushmills is the oldest licensed distillery in the
In the
world.
world.
Absolutely. And yes, I am still trying to get something off them for nothing, So,
Yeah.
because this time last week, Joey tagged him on Twitter. Went, look, my buddy Captain Pappen's got a YouTube show. And he keeps talking about Bushmills, but nothing's ever come of it. So,
All right.
yeah. Well, just so I go jump. So my favorite one is still that the moon landing was faked. Because
Yeah.
I'm 100% certain that we went to the moon. But
Yep.
I love all the nonsense around it. Well, what about the Van Allen belt and radiation and all, and it's.
Well, yeah, if you're not certain about it now, you're going to be certain about it in the future when we do it in a few years.
Yeah, and I think hold on, it'll tell me on the bottle. I think it was 1608. They actually put it on their bottle, 1608.
Yep.
It's not when it was founded. That's when it got its license. So that's 10 years. That's 10 years before the Mayflower left for America.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's right.
So that's how old that distillery is. But I'm not getting paid for saying that, unfortunately. But yeah, the Moonlander one's my favorite. I just and the most convincing argument for saying that it happened was the Russians were everywhere back then. The Russians,
Oh,
the only people that spied better than the Russians were the British.
yeah. Yep.
The British were always the best spies in the world. They just, because the Americans, if they want to know something, you should ask the British.
Yeah.
But the Russians were everywhere. That's
Right.
how McCarthyism and all kicked off. The Russians, if they didn't believe it was true, they would have just put it out to the world. We don't think this really happened, and that's
That would put an end to it, really.
yeah, because
Almost.
they just went out and went, no, it's propaganda, blah. But even the Russians went, yeah, okay, fair play, you beat us, So, okay. So the last proper question then,
Proper.
and I know you've no kids of your own, so just it's more a life question. But what one thing for your childhood do you regret your children not having or doing?
Wow. From one thing from your childhood, do you regret your children not having or doing? Wow. Let me. I don't have children. I have become an uncle in the last 4 months. Let me think about what that nephew doesn't have that he would never have. Well, I feel like I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world. I always thought about the '90s as being the last great generation where a kid could be a kid, where your parents could let you roam around the neighborhood and then you get to come back in when the street lights come on. I just don't feel like you do that anymore. You don't do the same playing in the woods. You can't play cowboys and Indians. That's offensive. You cops and robbers. You play with Nerf guns or sticks or whatever it is, or you bicycle race and injure yourself when you fall over or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that I miss. It was like the parents, it wasn't such a politically correct world. In the 90s, people weren't getting as offensive about stuff. You don't have a generation anymore, I don't think, where people just stopped caring about what somebody else thought and became offended by it too. But like for the most part, kids were just perfectly happy playing outside, being kids. If they want to go inside and play some video games, they go outside and play stickball, holy shit, or play some soccer or basketball, whatever it is, and then just go home when the streetlights came on. You can just do that. Now parents want to know where you at all times. Here, hold on to the cell phone. Oh, I got to put this thing on the cell phone so I know where you are and geographically locate you. Like we were just going to be fine. And when the street light came on, I'm coming home. You're going to see me. Hello, I'm here. Like you told me to. You don't have the freedom to be. Kids do, but like to a large extent, you don't have the freedom of just being the kid like kids used to be this day and
Yeah.
age.
See, I highlighted it because that's exactly what I was thinking. This is what my seventh or eighth one, and everybody's essentially give the same answer, myself included. It's
Well,
I
did
no
it? That
kids.
makes sense to me in the '90s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a breeder. I've no kids, but everybody said being able to go out and play, just be kids. We were three out of the house, just don't come home till dinner time. And then you got your dinner and you were three out again, right? Come back once it gets dark, and you just don't get that now, and it worries me that again we sort of alluded to it earlier. People get into the workplace having not experienced actual life, and then they go into the workplace and it's all microaggressions and and all sorts of nonsense. And I think a lot of that, we learned running about just doing stupid things as kids, and you went home, you'd fall over, you'd wreck your knee, and you went home and your dad would have laughed at you, told you to get back out. Your mum would have just put antiseptic on it and then threw you back out again. It wasn't right. We'll rush you to casualty. We'll wrap you in bubble wrap, and you're never leaving the house again. And it's it's a worry. I just worry about it, because I think one of the things manners is a big one. I've been thinking about this more and more and more.
Yeah.
We kids are not being brought up. A lot of them are just being born and they're put in front of a fucking TV or an iPad, and we're losing basic manners as a society, as a civilization. Kids don't respect elders. Kids don't. I'm 50 and I still say please and thank you. I'll still
Oh, yeah.
stand and hold it. If I hear somebody come down the stairs and work, I'll still stand at the bottom of the stairs and wait and hold the door open, not even knowing who it is.
Yeah.
And I remember I was down at the hospital. I was down at the fracture clinic a year or two ago, and I was standing, and there was a girl, or there was a woman said to me on the way out. She said, "Do you mind if I say something?" I said, "No, I thought she was going to be rude about something." She says, "Your manners are impeccable." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "You got up 4 times to offer your seat to somebody elderly or whatever." And what annoyed me most was that, as far as I'm concerned, that's just what people should be doing.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. It
Uh,
shocked me that she was shocked by it. And I'm not saying that to go, look, I'm super polite. I don't mean it like that.
yeah.
I was just very surprised that it shouldn't be shocking that somebody's got manners now. You
Sure.
know, um, and that just worries me a lot. Hello, Sparkle.
Oh,
Laurie. I never know what to call people because I've got my screen name and I've got my real name. I don't like my real name. I prefer my screen name. But but I was introduced to Sparkle as Sparkle, and now everybody calls her Laurie, and I'm never sure what to call her.
yeah. Scott Sparkle.
Um,
Probably will be okay with that.
yeah.
But,
So
uh,
okay. So the plus one question that we always finish with then. What's the single best piece of advice you can share with the world?
the single best piece of advice I can share with the world. Wow. I think just
Dorito.
wow, that's a really good question. I think you can learn a lot about people in different situations that you're in, and just a lot about what's going on in the world if you just take the time to sit and listen to people. I think you just need to listen. I think you just need to listen to people. You're not the only one in the room. You're not the only one that's got something to say. I think the more you're open and willing to listen to people and to listen to different ideas and to learn something by listening to somebody, that's the best piece of advice I think I can give anybody. They may come across once again as me being kind of musically related. Sure, the best thing I can do is listen to people and gravitate towards different ideas and ways of thinking. But that's another good point. You want to be able to gravitate and learn somebody else's plight or learn something that you don't really know. And by just listening and absorbing, you can do a lot of there can be a lot of good in that. So just take the time to shut up and listen to people half the time. If somebody's got something to say, obviously they felt like it was important enough to say it. So just sit and listen and be able to accept what not, you don't have to accept what they're saying, I guess, but at least at the end of that conversation, I need to do a better job at this most of the time. Just acknowledge that somebody actually that the other person actually heard what they were trying to say. Acknowledge people and listen to them.
Yeah, I actually think that's a great one. That's possibly my favorite bit of advice actually. So far.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough. There was I've seen it. Some of the most powerful speakers are ones that don't shout.
Yep.
And but you still find when you know somebody's got something to say and they're worth listening to, you'll see that they'll speak softly and people go quiet and they lean in. Where you get loudmouths that just you know you can hear them from from miles away, but it doesn't mean they're anything worth saying.
Yeah.
And yes, Joey, I'm looking at you and fucking Blake. Um, so it's no, I get that's a great answer. So okay, so Well, that's my questions finished. So I always ask at the end if you one question, one thing you would like to ask me. Okay, go for it.
The floor is yours, chat.
What are you doing?
Singing the Jeopardy thing. We're waiting around for the answer.
No, 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 no. But have you a question? Sorry, I've maybe misheard that. Have you a question you want to ask me?
Ask him if he would date pre-op transex. No, Joey. Never answered your question, Joey.
Ignore Joy. Ignore. Don't ask me my pronouns. I don't
My
have
pronouns
pronouns.
are guitarist, rocker, drummer. Thank you. And His Royal Majesty.
Okay, right. So I'm gonna have a few. I have a few marked from the chat. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna skip through them. So, um, is the Earth round, flat, or other? Please explain.
Ooh, wow. The Earth is round, and we have NASA and photographs that prove that this is round. And what possibly has been proven scientifically through photographic evidence of leaving our Earth's atmosphere that proves that our Earth is flat? If you have a different idea on that, please tell me. I would not love to hear it, but I will listen. I said I need to listen more, so I actually should listen to your idea.
Okay. I did have somebody the other week was a bit offended because we laughed at the flat earthers. And he's oh do your own research. Well, yeah, I'm not a fucking scientist, but you know what I mean. I'm willing to believe NASA and all the rest of them, and the people that went to space and said they've been to space. So,
Yeah.
So Joey wants to know if you smoke weed.
Do I smoke weed? No. Have I? I mean, that's a. Do I smoke weed recreationally? It's like regularly? No, but do I on occasion? Sure, with friends, yeah. But I don't do that in any regularity, nor do I go out and just buy weed at a legal dispensary. Not me personally, no, but I do partake of it from time to time, I suppose, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just my take on that.
Okay, Joey again. What do you think of Dorito?
I like the nacho cheese flavor the best. I like Dorito. He's a fun dude. I get a lot of Instagram posts and videos that he sends me. The dude is hilarious and fun. Why not? Dorito's a cool dude. Yeah.
Okay. What is this person YouTube channel and what is your content?
All right. Oh, me.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Miss Piggy doesn't know yet. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I do a YouTube channel called Thomas Metal 75. The program better known as the Massachusetts Beer Review from here in Massachusetts in the United States. If you like beer, whiskey, and I'm going to be doing more tequila reviews in 2024. Go check out that channel. I'm also a drummer for the band Oxblood Forge. We talked about that earlier. If you like heavy metal, 80s metal, Black Sabbathy kind of stuff, melodic metal, doom, stoner rock stuff, go check out the Oxblood Forge. But here on YouTube, I am Thomas Metal 75.
There's the link to the channel for just for handiness. So, okay, so, okay, so I think you struck a chord with Miss Piggy. So, are you single and where can one DM you at?
Yeah, single, yes. DM me. That's a good question. Post a comment on a YouTube video, and we guess go from there. Sure.
Okay.
Start from there.
And just a follow up from her. What kind of woman
Do you
you
need
need versus
need
attracted to?
versus attracted to? Does anybody actually in this God's green earth? That sounds like a bad statement to make. Does anybody in the world really need somebody? Do you actually really need somebody? No, not really. But I don't know. That's a really good question. Somebody, I don't know.
I think
I'd
it's hard.
like to find somebody minimally at the end of the day that you feel like you can converse and talk to about anything in any situation that you feel really comfortable and safe doing that with. If that person can come together with you on that level, I think I feel like you probably found somebody pretty special. Now, obviously, you want to have similar interests and want to have fun. Like for me, going to concerts, like heavy metal or whatever it is, have fun with the craft beer, want to go watch sports, whatever, play a video, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if I feel safe and comfortable in talking to you about whatever, and I feel like this is the place I can turn to, this is going to be a very special person.
Yeah, I see. The thing is, I can in my head, I can hear Joey screaming at the screen, going "big tits, big tits, big tits." You know, that would be Joey's answer. So
Yeah,
BC,
who was the best drummer and the worst drummer in past or current music? Well, me being the biased person that I am, but I really do like the drummer. I think the best, my favorite at least drummer is Neil Peart from Rush. That's just going to be overriding anything. But like, who's the worst drummer in past or current music? Am I allowed to play devil's advocate and say I've never heard everything on the face of the planet Earth to even know what the worst even is? But I just gave you the
okay,
best. Like,
but the worst big name, you know, I suppose the most overrated drummer is how I would answer that.
yeah. The word the most overrated drummer. Oh boy, it's not. It can't be Ringo Starr. That would have been the answer at one point. Let's go with Peter Criss of Kiss. There you go. Overrated, sure.
Okay, no, good.
There
I
you go.
don't know.
Overrated. Peter
I
Criss.
I'm not a fan of Kiss, so I'm quite happy for people slagging them off.
Yeah.
Okay, so this Peggy again. You consider yourself to be frugal. She's really trying to vet you. You know.
Frugal.
Miss Peggy's got money. Miss Peggy's, so.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If you really think hard enough about stuff and I'm never going to use it, you need to get rid of that. If it comes to like food and stuff, how frugal am I? I'm gonna save food, and if I'm not eating that meal, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna bring it home, and I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna bring that home, and I'm gonna eat that stuff. Come on now. Clothing, I seem to be a little more frugal with it than I probably should be, and I need to get rid of a lot of clothing. I don't have enough room for the band T-shirts and whatnot. I gotta get rid of stuff. But I would say it really depends on the mood and where I'm at to say, am I frugal and am I keeping this stuff for a legitimate reason or not? If I think about it hard enough, I'm probably not frugal. If I don't think about stuff, I might be more frugal than I think I am.
Okay, good. And Miss Piggy again. Miss Piggy we're going to have to set you and Miss Piggy up for a show at the very least.
That'll be cool. Let's do it, Miss Piggy.
Do you write poetry?
Absolutely not. That's why we got a lyricist in the band Oxford Forge to do all that good stuff with.
Okay.
So no bullshit, no.
You don't write any of the lyrics, no?
No.
You wrote the Omegle song, didn't you?
Yeah, I came up with that, and that Omegle song came out super, super fast. Me thinking about Omegle, friggin' sucks. Don't want to see. What do I want to see? Oh, your dick pic. Yeah, there we go. That just spontaneously came out as I'm playing some chords.
Okay.
On the spot. Can I come up with things and do a witty pun on the spot? Absolutely. Some people call that them dad jokes, fatherly humor. But can I sit down and write some verses of intelligent things that sound like a good cohesive piece of poem or like a song lyric? It will take a while for that to happen. That wouldn't come supernatural. A witty pun?
No, I think poetry's a damn art. I'd be honest, I have a few poetry books. Some of the old classics out of the Raven and stuff is just fucking, some of the old Edgar Allan Poe and all, and there's some fantastic stuff there. So.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
The streaming service you choose if you're stranded on an island.
Well, number one, the actual island has to be able to have an internet access for me to grab.
You get a Starlink. You're playing when I'm down. You salvage the Starlink off it. So.
Well, I'm using Spotify.
Okay.
That's the number one thing that I use. And that's how I find a lot. That's how I find most of the new music out there that I've not even, or maybe it's not necessarily a new sound per se, but there's so many artists out there that how else would I come across them otherwise than me starring and liking things on Spotify, and then you get a daily mix of things to check out every day, and you get a Discover Weekly playlist, and then I find so many different things I wouldn't have known of by an artist and name, and then therefore I get interested in them, and then I go and get tickets to the actual show. So Spotify has been a great source of joy when it comes to listening and learning about the artists out there that I don't know.
Yeah.
Spotify.
See, I would go YouTube because a lot of
Yeah,
the music that I've discovered the last 18 months has been through YouTube. But
sure.
people like Thrash and JV saying, check this band out, check that band out,
Yep.
but also just randomly, you search for one thing and it suggests others. Or Black Top Mojo is a fantastic rock band that I only discovered through YouTube. You know, um, and then through YouTube you can still follow the sports and stuff. So for me it would be YouTube. So
Yeah.
okay, no, we're not asking that, Joey. Took a shot right him. Captain says it was brilliant. Yeah, Joey keeps mocking nearly everything I say these
Sure
days.
does. Come
So
on, Joey.
okay, so JV's got a technical musical question. Well, your favorite drum company.
Oh, it's Ludwig drums. There's not even a question about that. I play Ludwig classic maple drum set. I got 6 different Ludwig snare drums. I got in my band rehearsal space right now. My favorite snare drum is the 8x14 copper phonic snare drum, and I love most everything Sabian cymbals. There you go.
Okay. I'll be honest, none of those names mean anything to me. So but JV I like that because JV plays a bit of drums. JV's brother, I think he was telling me something a really really good drummer. So
Hell yeah.
um so of all the breweries if all other breweries went away and you could only one could be left, what are you picking?
Well, I've had the question kind of posed, if you get one beer left on Earth, I would totally choose. I know this may sound crazy, but I would totally choose it's just like one beer left on the planet Earth. I would choose a Guinness Draft if I could. I don't think I would ever get super tired and bored of that beer. I could get bored of New England IPAs. I could get bored of Imperial Stouts. I could get bored of. I don't really necessarily like sour beers all that much. Um, but like an actual brewery, that would be one kind of a beer, but an actual brewery that I would never get bored with. I would never get bored of Carlsberg. That's a really good question. Just one singular brewery that it's got to be a brewery that at least has enough diversity in what they do so that you always find something from them and that you're not
Ah,
super bored with it.
you want a lager, you want a stout, you want
You could almost go with like a Lagunitas brewery, really. And then for some reasoning, if there are no other breweries on the face of the planet Earth, Lagunitas would still be a pretty economical beer for what they do. So maybe like a Lagunitas for the brewery, but one beer, I could drink probably Guinness Draft for the rest of my life and be happy. Probably.
okay. Right, let me see, where are we? So
Champagne or oh my god.
would you like a Martin acoustic?
I would, yes, but I think and I'm looking at a guitar on the wall over there. I think my acoustic guitar choice is the Taylor. But Martins are a very nice
Sorry, what brand?
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay.
I like Taylor acoustics most of all. But yeah, Martin, that's what when you think of acoustic guitar and you hear the sound of acoustic guitars, you probably are thinking of inevitably you're hearing a Martin guitar, really. They've been around since the mid 1800s. They're one of the oldest brands of anything in the United States, really.
All right. See, it's weird. I was looking. I have a Tanglewood acoustic,
Right,
right?
sure.
And a lot of people, I'd never heard of it because you don't see them, too often now. But I was looking
Yeah.
on their website, and they're really expensive now. Now I've had about 30 years. Can't play it, but I've had it about 30 years. But I remember even because I'd only been working about 6 months, and I
Mm-hmm.
spent a lot more than I could afford on it because I was told especially with acoustic, buy the best one you can afford because
Yep.
the action's better and all. So I did. So I bought that one, and I've had 3 people try to buy that off me because it sounds so nice. But
Ooh.
for some reason, I messed about on the internet yesterday, and I looked up Tanglewood, and I mean they're not up. I'm not talking like tens of thousands or anything, but they're you know their basic entry level one now is like £1,000. So
Hmm.
which sort of surprised me because not a lot of people have heard the name of them. So
Yeah.
so JV, I think JV's I think some of us were put out last night by your automated responses, but have you ever felt like Nightbot?
Nightbot. Have
Um,
you ever felt like Zero Nightbot? No. I use that thing to just remind people of the things they can do to support the channel and the things they can do to I don't know, check out the band and whatever. That's a good reminder. And I think I have it set up in a way that like every 5 comments on the YouTube show, the next thing that Nightbot says will come up. So I believe it's every 5 comments, and then there's a new Nightbot that comes up. So I set it to be super soon. So that's why you feel like it's spamming, because I set it up almost that way. Yeah.
See, I have thought after taking the piss about it last night, I thought I'm going to install it and I'm going to make it say if you don't like my content, then you can fuck off.
You can do
Right?
whatever you want. Yep.
But apparently you can. Apparently it won't let you swear. So
Yeah, you can make it say whatever you want,
really,
and you can pick rules and parameters. Like when somebody says hi or cheers, that's the parameter where Nightbot goes and says either right back at you, or you say hi, it says welcome, thanks for tuning into the show, whatever your YouTube name is. You can set it up
AJB.
that way. Yep.
Okay, nearly there. Only a couple more to go. I'm going to skip past some of Joey's.
Uh,
And
to
see,
answer
Miss
your other
Pig,
question, Joey, neither. I don't have any experience in any of those.
right?
I can't
So
recommend you one.
Miss Piggy's definitely after you. So do you cook? And if so, what's your
Oh
specialty?
yeah, so steak. If you like steak, I got you down for that. Yeah, definitely. I know
And ramen noodles. Ramen
steak.
noodles.
That's good. And we're gonna go back to ramen noodles, the guilty
Yeah.
pleasure. I got various different hacks to make the ramen noodles.
Hello, Paul.
Not just the water and the noodle and the little flavor packet. We got you covered. So yeah,
Okay.
ramen noodles and steak. There you go.
Yeah. Well, Miss Piggy, how does that sound for a candlelit meal? So what do you think Blake's most annoying catchphrase is?
Le champion.
I don't know. I think there's much more annoying ones than that, but I'm not going to start bitching about Blake at
Le
this point.
champion, everything.
Yeah, the show's been good. If I talk about him too much, he'll turn up. So, um, right. So the last question, I think, from Miss Piggy again. What sound attachments do you have on your drums?
Sound, just the heads themselves. I tried years ago. They call them moon gels, or these little sticky gel adhesives that you can put on the drums to mute the sound, to mute the sustain of the drum, to make it so that the length of the note doesn't ring out too long, and it just has this. You hit the drum once and it just rings out forever. I used to use that. Use things that the Remo drumhead company called O-rings, that were about maybe an inch smaller than the actual drum head. You put it on the drum heads, and that would also cut back on the sustain of the drum. But what I really like for the most part, now you can use some of that stuff when you're in the studio and you really need to isolate that one drum for that one microphone and not make it bleed the sound over into other microphones. But I generally like the snare drum and the toms to have not a wide open sound, but I like it to have a natural sustain and ring. I feel like it projects better, and the tonality isn't so choked. So I usually don't use any. Even in my bass drum, I don't have anything. I use a pre-muffled head on the bass drum for striking the bass drum. But other than that, I don't use any muffling or anything on the drums themselves. Just the natural sound of the drum.
JV's coming in with the music question. So what
JB,
size drumstick?
as Alex the Beer Master would say, when I get together with you, I got to give you a noogie. I do use 5Bs. That is correct.
Okay.
I use Vader 5B, sometimes the Extreme. They call it an Extreme because it's just a little bit longer of a length, so you have a little bit longer reach to things.
Oh, okay. Right. So I don't know what way to say. So is it the thickness of the drumstick, or is it the length of the drumstick, or is
Yeah,
it both?
the thickness is the number in the letter that Jeremy described, and I don't know anything about diameter or anything. I just know what numbering kind of feels good to you. You got a
All right. Okay.
7A, which is a really, really thin, tiny stick that you'll get a lot of definition on cymbals, like for jazz and being really delicate. And every number up from there is going to be a much, I don't want to say girthier, than Joey's going to say something. Much beefier stick, much beefier, and just like you said, the size, the diameter is
Yeah.
gonna get larger. And there he goes. And it's going to feel heavier too, and therefore it's going to have a different response on cymbals and drums.
Okay.
And
Okay.
depending on what kind of a tip you use, you can have a nylon tip, you can have a wooden tip. That'll again will sound different on the cymbals, depending what you like.
See, you thought it was just going to be Joey being smutty, but it's actually Angie. You know. So
There you go, Angie. Whoa.
okay. So right. So I think that's us. So first
Yeah,
of all, thank you very much for doing this.
no problem. This has been
Yeah.
fun.
I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for coming up. Have you anything you want to shout out?
The only thing, the only the two things I'll shout out again is my YouTube channel is Thomas Middle 75. Go hit that subscribe button. Again, it's beer, whiskey, and more tequila reviews in 2024. Go check that out. And if you go to oxbloodforge.bandcamp.com, you can go check out my band Oxblood Forge. We have
There's the link for it for the
thank you,
band.
sir. We have CDs, cassette tapes. There you go. We got a cassette tape. Bam. Of our newest release, Cult of Oblivion. We got cassette tapes. We got CDs. We got a 10-inch vinyl of the Cult of Oblivion. You can digitally download for $5, or any donation you want is greatly appreciated. T-shirts, merchandise, stickers. We got some patches. I think we might have some sweatshirts if they're available. Go check it out if you like the 80s metal, Iron Maiden, classic, doomy, stoner rock, that kind of stuff. Go check it out. That is my plug, and we do the Wildcard Wednesday on Thomas Mill 75 channel of YouTube. That's New York, Boston time, 7:30 Eastern. Just bring only meant to use a beverage. Bring a beer, wine, or a spirit. Really, any adult beverage, and just don't be a douche. That's about it. Thank you, Captain. This has been great.
Yeah, so Miss Peggy wants to know how much the cassette is.
I think the last we had this on sale for was $8 US. $8.
Okay.
And we will send this to you anywhere in the world, basically. Let us know where you're at, and we'll get you whatever the shipping, or we'll let you know what the shipping charge is going to be.
Good. Can they download it?
They can certainly download. Yep, we have everything that we've released is on that Bandcamp website for digital download. I think it's a minimum, most of the stuff for $5, although Bandcamp, and we would greatly appreciate it, donated anything beyond that you felt appropriate. Also, if you're even cheaper than that, which no fault of your own, we're on every conceivable streaming platform, including Spotify, iTunes Music, and Amazon Music. So go check us out wherever you stream music, and on YouTube. We're on YouTube as well. That is Oxblood Forge. All right.
Okay. Cool.
That's my
Say
promo.
the link. I've put the link for your channel in there. I'll put the link for the
Thank you, sir.
for the band as well there. So again, so thank you very much for doing it. I did. It's been great fun. Thank you everybody in the chat. I'm not going to go through and name everybody, but thank you for being here. I know you've got.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you be anywhere but here watching us talk shite, you know. So and next week talking shite with me is Mr. Paul Wright Lawns if he's not snowed in. So that should be a good one because it's hard to keep Paul quiet once he gets started. So that'd be an interesting one. So thank you very much, everybody, and we're going to bid you a fond farewell at that. So, hey, everybody.
Cheers.